Let's see if I can be less squinty. Hi, how are you guys doing? This is Abigail Barella with your Astro forecast for the new moon in Taurus that we'll get this weekend, Saturday afternoon Pacific Standard Time at 3-something p.m. 3:43. I'll put the details below. And excuse me, I've been having horrible allergies, so hopefully my voice sticks with the program here. I hope you guys are all doing well. It's good to see you. And I really wanted to talk about this new moon because it's quite magical. And there's a few aspects that are ongoing, that are leading the way for summer, that are showing us where our attention needs to be drawn to. And this new moon has lots of added emphasis as even the beginning of Saturday morning, Friday evening, we'll have the moon coming conjunct with Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus now. If you're curious to watch like a whole video and house by house about Uranus and Taurus, I did one last May because that's the first time that Uranus went into Taurus and then it retrograded out and then it's come back in. And so that might be really helpful. To look at that and to see like what houses it's hitting for you. I know that if you're born around the same time as me, we have Chiron in Taurus, and this is Chiron stays in a sign for about, I think it's a 7 to 8 year thing. I think 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. And so if you have Uranus in Taurus, depending on where that's at, it might be getting lit up at this new moon. And so you want to look at where 14 degrees of Taurus is in your chart and know that Uranus is sudden shifts and sudden changes. And even though it's not conjunct this new moon, we're still like feeling the energy of those swift and sudden changes. And lots of things are moving. There's lots of moving pieces that are around us right now, and if not in our own personal lives, definitely with the people around us. Definitely lots of changes happen, moves and shifts and energy changes and work changes and that kind of thing. With this new moon, we have a sextile to Neptune. The interesting thing here is that Venus rules Taurus, and the higher octave of Venus is Neptune. So to have it sextile is not like a huge, I would say it's not like a huge aspect, although it is a very synergistic aspect. So if you've noticed certain signs, like 2 signs ahead or 2 signs behind you, you have a certain synergy. So if you look at that, like I know for myself, I definitely have that. And it's going to be like, for me, it's like the air sign. So it's Libra and it's Gemini. And so it's like 2 signs over on either side. And so you want to look at that because that's kind of the energy of this new moon, is like that. When you meet someone and you're like, ooh, I could talk with you about stuff, and it's a very kind of exciting energy. That's the new moon that we're getting. We're getting this little gift of this new moon having this very exciting energy, this fresh new energy. And with it being Neptune in Pisces, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. And so it's about like manifesting. It's about dreaming bigger. It's about really stretching what you thought you could have. There's a lot of things that happened this last year that kind of turned some of our manifesting muscles, maybe got a little weakened. And now it's time to kick them back into gear. Okay, sorry, the camera's moving a lot, but my arm's getting tired. And so we're being asked to kick those into gear. And so it's a great time to really think about what you're wanting to manifest. We're going to get another square from Jupiter to Neptune. And again, I talked about, if you follow me on YouTube, I have a whole list of videos, and one of them is about Jupiter in Sagittarius. And that's a really good one because Jupiter will be in Sagittarius this whole year. It's retrograde right now, and it's going to be squaring Neptune in June and then again in September. And when it's squaring these, it's really interesting because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and that's where it's at. And Neptune rules Pisces, and that's where that's at. And so when they're squaring each other, it's extra strong. And what it is showing us is how to expand into this new consciousness. Paco, no, I'm not throwing that stick. And so it's asking us to expand into this consciousness, but guess what? It's through conflict. So a square in astrology, no, Paco. A square in astrology is conflict, and it's 2 different energies that make a 90-degree angle to each other. Come here, Paco. Bring it here and drop it. So when we're looking at this is going to happen in June, so it's not right now, but definitely this new moon is showing us, because it has a sextile to Saturn, it's showing us to really set those manifestations higher, or set our sights a little bit higher, really expand our thinking, so that when we get this next square, we're not going to be so caught off guard. And so we're really being asked to kind of stretch our imagination and our mind space. And Taurus can be stubborn. Taurus can be stubborn, but we can use that stubborn energy for good or for not good. So it's really up to us. So if you can think about things that you've been stubborn on that are not worth your time and energy, and letting those things go, and then thinking of things that you need to get more stubborn on, that's really where you want to set your intentions with this new moon. So new moon is the time where we set new intentions, we set fresh intentions. So definitely think of, it's like the Empress card in Tarot. It's like lush, sensory, and like very sensual goddess energy. And like I said, because it's sextiling Neptune, and Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, we have this very dreamy Empress energy, but also this like ability to bring it into our mind space and bring it into our head space a little bit more. And with that comes like the divine feminine energy. And one of the things about Venus, because we have so much Venusian qualities here, is that Venus is the goddess of desire. And so looking at what your desires have been, and if you've been in alignment with those, if you've been in alignment with what you truly want, because I know for myself, like people like will say things to me about like something I've been asking for, and all of a sudden it appears, and I notice myself kind of like shut down, like, wait a second, do I deserve this? Like, I don't know, you know? And so it's really interesting to look at, we might say we want things, but then looking at like when they actually show up, or if we think about them showing up, how do we really feel, and what are the blocks to us really accepting those things in? And so this is what we're dissolving. Neptune is the great dissolver. So it dissolves away all the BS of being a human and opens us up to the spiritual dimensions. We came here to be humans. We have these big brains, and we have access to divinity. We have access to that higher mind, to that Christ consciousness, if that is a triggering word for you. We have access to source energy, and we are not here to just be mammals. We're here to bring that energy down to the earth. But that takes courage, and it takes stubbornness, and it takes really sticking with it and working on ourselves. And so we're really being asked to step up into our own work and look at our own blocks and our own beliefs based on things that happened in our childhood, things that happened in our younger years, and really like break away and break free. And so this is the year for it. 2019 is pushing us. It can feel like it's pushing us to a breaking point, but it's also important to remember that when we feel that happening, we're really just growing, and we're not going to break. We are not going to break. We bend, and we change, and we shift, and we morph, and we grow. And so that's evolution. And there you go. And I'm losing the sun, which is making me very cold. So I'm going to start walking down the hill. But I wanted to also mention that with this new moon, we have that sextile to Neptune, and then we have a lot of cardinal energy. So we still have a lot of cardinal energy. This year in general, we have a lot of cardinal energy with the nodes and cardinal signs. And then we have Pluto, Saturn, all in Capricorn, which is a cardinal sign. So this is like fresh starts, starting new, starting fresh. So really being open to like where you need to step into new, fresh energy. The other thing I wanted to say about this new moon is that Mars is going out of bounds. I talked about this last year. It's not very rare. It happens like maybe once a year. But it's when things get a little wackadoodle. So if you've ever played sports or you ever watched sports and someone goes out of bounds, you think like if they continue to go out of bounds and they're just not listening to the rules, that's kind of like what Mars is doing. He's kind of just like going rogue on us. And what is Mars? Mars is the planet of war. It's the planet of action. It's the planet of the divine masculine, but in a very like rough and like, you know, what are the three things about masculine? It's like provider, protector, and procreator. And so, you know, Mars is all about that stuff, but then when he goes out of bounds, he can go a little rogue. And so we just have to be careful within ourselves, like anger issues and issues of like, since it's in Gemini's, Since it's in Gemini, it can be words and communication and kind of this God of War in our communication space, which is not good. So you want to always check yourself. And this is going to be happening through July, I believe. But it will shift into Cancer, thankfully, over the summer. So, I think in June, maybe. So, but for now it's in Gemini. So we have to be cautious with our words, kind with our words, kind to ourselves. And that's really important with Mars. Because Mars is about our identity and ourself. And so if we're fighting against ourselves, Gemini is also the twin. So if we're going back and forth on issues, it's really the time, the going rogue can also mean that we're actually like breaking free. So definitely like think about where in your life you've been kind of going back and forth, or where you have not been clear with your words or clear with your boundaries. And know that can be a time for breaking free from that as well. So overall, this new moon is a great opportunity to look at your desires, look at your money, financial situation, look at your physical body, your comfort, your comfy cozy stuff, like your home, your environment, and set new intentions, set new ideas, get fresh. I just saw a friend recently and I was like, we were talking about something and she said something and I could literally see this cloud over her face of her like not even being aware that like her belief was like, she had this statement that she said, I forget what it was, and that statement was so powerful the way she said it. I was just like, what is happening? Clear that away, and it's just really important for us to not get so glued to like struggle and so glued to our own story that we can't even manifest good things into our life. And I'm not saying that you guys are doing that. I'm not saying that this friend was doing that, but how just I see that in myself, like how when the good things come, it's sometimes hard to accept them because we've conditioned ourselves to believe that A, either we're not worthy, B, it can't possibly be real, or being afraid to think it's real because, and then if you lose it, then it's going to be gone. It's like all this like funny, weird stuff. I remember that after my daughter was born, with my first daughter, I used to have this reoccurring dream right after she was born that like the gods made a mistake and they were like going to come back and get her. Like, she was just in her little bucket seat, that little car seat. And like I'd be changing in the dressing room and I'd have her in the little car seat and someone would just like snatch her from underneath the door of the changing room, and the gods would just be like, yeah, sorry, like she's too good to be yours, So it's just like looking at our fears and looking at our beliefs around like what's too good for us, like where we're not worthy of the wonderful things that we want and desire. Hi, Megan, how are you doing? Cynthia, hello. And so I'm talking about setting new intention for the new moon and believing in beautiful things coming your way, and really taking the time and space the next few days. So the new moon is on Saturday. Setting the time, space, and energy for you to really manifest, to really create. And I'll be posting more about this in my next post. The other thing I want to tell you guys is I'm doing a free astrology intro class. If you've been interested in astrology school, I'm doing a free intro class on May 8th. I'll post the details below as well, and you can just join me for that. If you've been wanting to have a chart reading, this is a perfect time with the new moon. I have no idea what my schedule looks like for next week, but you can look and see if I have any availability next week, and really be aware that whatever thoughts or emotions are coming to the surface right now, it's an opportunity to work with them and not try to shove them down, stuff them down. Really work with what's coming up and look at where you want it to be different, where you want to